You're listening to Cain, Randy, and Brooke on Scratch the Vinyl.
Scratch the vinyl.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to Scratch the Vinyl. You made it back. We're glad you did. We're back here. We're sitting in the podcast chairs, and we are pumped to be alive, to be American, and to be here and be able to talk to you guys. So I got to say, everybody, I had kind of an interesting thing. So I went to the Nebraska game a couple weeks ago with my uncle, my dear Uncle Kurt. He takes me to all these places. He's my travel companion. He's my bud, and we go to sporting events together. We went to an Iowa game last year. He did that for me, and I go to all the Husker games I can because I love college football. Well, I witnessed something so bizarre. I can't even. I can barely keep it. And I've witnessed it before. I watched a referee before the game. We like to get there super early. I watched him go through do the touchdown symbol, do everything. The guy was practicing, which I can dig, but I thought to myself, this is a great video for TikTok. So I shot a video of him and I put down on it, is this guy insane or is this guy a vibe? And I'll be darned, I used Yakety Sack, as the music. It just seemed like a silly video, and you never know when the one's going to hit. Well, this one did hit on our TikTok, and it's starting to shoot up. It's got thousands of views. People are chiming in, and it's been really crazy. And the thing about their videos is, and I want to lead you guys to our TikTok and our socials, is, well, you can find us at Scratch the Vinyl Podcast everywhere, including on TikTok. So it's just shocking to me what hits. And we've got a really big day, so I don't want to go on too much. It's I'm just gonna say, Brooke's not here again, and we're gonna cover that in a second. But I gotta bring this guy on right now to talk about this video, talk about what's going on in his life. It is they say it's your birthday. It's Mr. Chill's birthday. We got Randy, Mr. Chill Wilson, on the show right now. Randy, how the heck are you doing? Happy birthday to you.
Well, I'm just gonna say I'm really sad right now that Brooke's not here because we were gonna do a version of duet, the walking hard, the Dewey Cox story. We were gonna give that to our Scratch the Vinyl listeners today, but my other half is not here today, so I'm just gonna have to celebrate my birthday without her.
Brooke, if you're listening to this, you ruined Randy's birthday. You know it. I mean, he's heartbroken. He's probably going to cry himself to sleep many times today, and then kind of try to come to. And then, oh wait, no, Brooke didn't come on the show. So we're actually really sad that you weren't on, and I know that the listeners are too.
I was trying to hold back my laughter, but I couldn't. So I just teasing Brooke, but we would have done it. We would have given our listeners the karaoke feel of Dewey Cox today. And I'll lead back to your whole TikTok thing. I'm gonna say it had only been worse if that guy just kept throwing flags everywhere. You know, then you'd like, is this guy practicing getting ready to throw flags on our team the whole day? That could be more viral, I think.
Well, it's so interesting because I caught this same ref maybe a year or two ago doing the same thing. And I think I even posted a video of that on another podcast that I was doing. It's just I don't know. Maybe it was just the right thing, right time, or whatever. But people seem to really love this video. So maybe it was because I posted it the day of the Michigan game. But it's great to have a little bit of traction. We got to tell you guys, when we do these videos, it takes a village. It takes you guys' support, and you guys have supported us. But sharing these videos, liking them, commenting on them, it makes all the difference in the world. But we definitely appreciate all you guys.
Well, I will tell you this, Cain. You did an amazing job. You were the first person. I mean, seriously, you were the first person to send me birthday wishes today in a video. You made a collage video of pretty much everything I'm into. And I'm going to tell you, as of this morning, it already had 709 views. That was just why I was sleeping.
Man, that's awesome. See, I'm the type of guy that I will color you a picture out of like a coloring book and I'll write something ridiculous, like I'll color a picture of like a little baby chicken and I'll send it to my wife, and it'll say you're one hot chick or something like that. So that's my love letter to you, Randy. You're a brother to me. You're a fantastic host and great friend. And I just thought, you know what? I love doing videos. I have the time to do it. I want to do something good for Randy. So I'm glad that it made you happy.
Well, I appreciate it as always. And again, I'm just gonna say it's just a sad day. Brooke's not here.
So Randy, for I hate to put you on the spot, but for the young viewers out there,
Oh,
I mean, yeah, I'm not. It's not like you're a man of that senior, but
yes, I am. Yes,
you're
I am.
still a young man. So, but of all these years and all the success you've had, I mean, you're a national champion. You know what I mean? You're a champion in poker. I mean, you have done everything. You're a champion at everything. Can you give anybody any advice instead of like, oh yeah, hey, Randy, are you gonna party? We all know you're gonna party. You're Mr. Chill, but we want to know the hard questions and answers now. Give them some advice in all these years that you've learned.
Put me on the spot. Well, first, I'm gonna say I may not party near as much this year as in the past. And those who have known me for a long time know that my birthday parties can go for 4 or 5 days. And I don't know. I've tried to, I think, slow that down just a little bit this year because I think because I want to have a few more. But advice, well, I'm going to say as you get a little older, you realize especially I've done so many things that I wish sometimes I could have stepped back and appreciated the moment just a little bit more. And so, we talk about music on our show so much about how it affects us and how it takes us to a place. I think it's kind of like that. When you just take a moment to enjoy maybe that perfect song or something that means something to you. And so it's kind of like smell the roses, Don't waste time and all the garbage and all the noise out there. Enjoy the people around you, your family, your friends. You know what? At the end of the day, I'm gonna have a perfect birthday just because I have a lot of great people in my life that are they're gonna just be around, hang out, and have a good time.
Man, that's a fantastic answer and a wonderful lesson for all you guys to learn. It's just kind of cherish the day. It sounds so cliche, but times are rough right now. Things are really strange. Social media is really annoying. But videos like we make, just go laugh at something, watch something. But more importantly, with this particular show, I know you're just like me. Sit down and listen to an album, for God's sakes, everybody. Put down your keyboard. We won't preach for too much longer, but put down your keyboard warrior keyboards there and get away from social media. Go to your record player or whatever the hell you have and just listen to an album with intent all the way through. And I promise you, you're going to have a better life. I have plenty of things going on in my life that I could tell you guys, just like everybody does. That's frightening. That's frustrating. But you know what I do? I take a time machine every single day, multiple times a day, and I do it by listening to a record with intent. So, man, Randy, happy birthday to you. Brooke, shame on you for not being on this show, but we love you very much and come back because we miss you. Now we get to the meat and cheese of the show, everybody. I know that we just came off the success of the Metal Manifesto benefit show at Gray's Keg. I've seen wonderful things about that. There was a ton of videos, pictures, and it sounds like everybody kind of showed out. And we can't take credit for that, but we definitely tried to help get people there. And John Cruz once again is doing a great job on KZUM. So kudos to you guys for that. But this would be a great segue into our next guest. Now, our next guest is not just a metal guy, but he has spent some time in the metal world with a really killer band that I like. But he's so much more than that. He is currently in a remote location somewhere in the middle of the US here. I'm not going to say just where right now, everybody, because for some of our locals and everything, it could almost sound sacrilege, but this guy is just a fantastic artist. And as we get to know him and we dig into his music, I can't wait to get him on. So let's not waste the sauce anymore. Let's bring him on right now. He is Taylor Thompson. Taylor, how are you doing?
I'm awesome.
So, you come on the show here. I don't know how you organically found us, but I know that we had kind of talked on online and kind of set up this whole thing. I'm just fascinated to bring you in, and I'm going to tell you why. Husker fans, I don't want you to be worried about this, but I'm going to tell you something. He shares a commonality with me. I've told you guys that I'm an Iowa boy at heart. I live here in Nebraska. I love Nebraska. I'm from Iowa, and I this guy shares the same thing with me. He lives in Iowa. He grew up in those scenes, but he has traveled here to our area. He's played here in Lincoln. He's played in Omaha. He's played all over as a drummer. So I have a question for you, Taylor. Is what I like to start with every drummer is what lunacy brought you to being a drummer to start?
Well, I was a band nerd for sure in school. That's how it all started in like fifth grade playing a trombone. One day when I was like 15, my friend had a debit card. So this is like 2000, 2001, somewhere in there. And he had a debit card and he helped me buy a drum set from Musician's Friend, that magazine of like gear. And he's like, "Hey, I need a drummer because I want to start a band." I was like, "Hey, that's cool. I'll play drums." And pretty much that. And it was kind of against the grain to my parents. I was kind of a punk, like not like in a jerk way, but like in a there's no volume knob on this, so deal with it. That's kind of how it started. I mean, that's where the drums kind of came into it because I didn't start off as a drummer ever. I played trombone when I was in like fifth grade.
I want to hop in, Cain, because I got the chance to talk with Taylor for a while. And when I first got to talk to him, he was in the middle of a cornfield. And I can only imagine uh, Taylor getting his first drum kit, and mom and dad are putting him in the middle of that cornfield banging the drums. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, but all I could picture is Taylor out there in the middle jamming for the cows.
Well, in Lakeview, yeah, it was kind of like that. My dad, I always made sure to play my drums when my dad wasn't home though, because he got home from work at like 5:30, 6 o'clock. So I would always make sure to get some drumming in for that little time frame. But then my friend who helped me get the drum set with his debit card, we moved it down to his dad's garage. So we kind of put the burden on him for a while, but he was a rock and roll guy too, so it worked out pretty good. And he didn't, the garage was not connected to the house where the drums were in our house at the time. So, the difference in separating it.
We're kind of walking through your history now. We're gonna take a little walk through the life of you so far as a musician. And as I look through your bio and as we talk, I came across a band that you were in for a long time. It says you started playing with them, many years ago, and they're a band called Ancient Elm. And when I went back and I listened to this band, dude, I was like, this is like absolutely everything that I love about like metal. You know what I mean? Like it gave me a warm feeling because it reminded me of the scene here and what it was like coming up and listening to metal bands. How did you get into that band? How long were you in it for the listeners? And what can you tell me about your time with them?
Okay, so that is initially kind of where getting the drum set got me with that friend. So him and I kind of started the group. We kind of, I don't know. That's a tough question. You're taking me back like 20 years, man. So yeah, getting into wanting to get into Ancient Elm, it started with, just friends getting together. There was nothing to do in Lakeview. I mean, there was, but I mean, when you have a different mentality than most of your peers do growing up in those small towns, especially in the 90s and the early 2000s, it was really uh not really dividing to say that, but like you didn't have access to certain things. So when you were able to see like a band open up for another band you never heard, it kind of inspired you like, ooh, I want to be that band that opens the show. I don't really, it's cool to be the big guy, but like, what about that guy that starts it? That's cool. So that's kind of where like it kind of started to simmer and boil a little more and like, okay, how can we make this more? Well, then to take the next step, social media did help a little bit, but this is still back when MySpace started. And that's, and then getting plugged into the scene, being where we were, we didn't have access to anything. Like I said, MySpace and like Facebook just started to come out. You didn't have nothing but friends, so we had friends that graduated high school and went to school in Des Moines. Um, and then they would start into a band there and they kind of helped connect us into the Des Moines scene, which then in turn took the next step down, and you would go play the show with a bunch of local bands. So now you did like a genuine network. That's not kind of, but that is how it started. That is definitely like it went from the love of music, pure boredom of a small town of 1,200, 1,500 people. And you didn't really have much. It was a real square lifestyle. It's like you go to school, play your sports, you go to work, and those are like your only options you have. So and I'm definitely a guy that likes to go outside of the box and find out what else there is in this world because we all know there's more than just two things in this world to do.
Well, as an Iowa boy, how influential was Slipknot to you? Because I know I this is something I haven't been able to bring up yet, and I've been dying to. I can remember where I was when I first saw the Wait and Bleed video for Slipknot as they came out, and I thought, what in the hell is that? It's like professional wrestlers with instruments, you know what I mean, beating the shit
Yep,
out of each
I
other.
do.
And it was the craziest, most brutal thing I'd ever witnessed, and I had to get more, right? So what was it like for you? I mean, were they as influential as I think they were to me and many metalheads in the Midwest?
That's awesome you say that because two reasons. One, got a Slipknot tattoo. Of course, that was my first tattoo I ever got when I was 18. And then now the inspiration part of Slipknot. Okay, small town boy. You get the Des Moines Register on Sundays. It comes with a Best Buy ad, a Kmart ad, all these things because you didn't have Amazon or anything of that nature to even look at to explore records and CDs. Slipknot CD was in there next to Corn and something else. I mean, this is what, like 99, 2000, somewhere in there. And remember, I told you I played in jazz band or I played band. So I played the trombone, I played in jazz band. I saw this ad and I just kind of was taken back just by the cover. The cover of it is just, the mask and it's just a dark little image. But we had a jazz band competition. I don't know how to describe it, but the jazz bands at the high schools and everything get together and they play these things at like Morningside College or wherever. Well, it did that, and remember, no social media, debit cards were kind of ishy. There's no Venmo or nothing. My mom and dad, they give me like $10 or something like that. No, it was $20 because it was a new CD. They gave me $20 for food to eat that day. But instead, when we stopped at the mall in whatever town it was to get food at whatever this food court was, I went to Sam Goody or FYE, and I found that Slipknot CD and I bought it that day. And I starved myself the entire day. I didn't eat or nothing that day because I brought my Discman with me. Listen, I had Stained, I'm sure I had I had the little booklet with a few CDs you'd bring with you. But I bought that Slipknot CD that day, and I was just blown away because after a jazz band competition and a young man at that vulnerable age, I put my headphones on for that ride home, and then Sick kicks on. I'm like, what did I just do to myself? I just was like, I need to play drums. That's cool. Like, what did that, the double bass was just, and the way that Joey's fills were, they were just so intricate. It's like what Easy Drummer is today, Joey Jordison was. That's what he created, what that is, it seems like. To me, that's how I feel because of how tight he was. But anyway, yeah, so Slipknot definitely has a big place in there. And it was before they probably even had a tour bus, like their first album just come out. I want to say it was 99 when that came out. So, I mean, I was fairly young still because I was born in 1987. So that would have put me at like 13 years old, 12, 13 years old, buying a Slipknot CD. And yeah, so that's my take on how how that album affected me. It starved me for a day.
Well, I'd never heard anything like it. I mean, I've never heard a band with all that percussion, multiple percussionists make so much sound in my life. And I mean, like it was mind blowing to me and the brutality behind it. And then I can remember I eventually got a hold of Mate Feed Kill Repeat, their demo,
Oh, you
before
did.
at Recycled Sounds here in Lincoln. And I paid a pretty penny. I paid like $60 for that CD. And it was before Corey Taylor. It was when they were a smaller band.
Yep.
There was all those cool like jazz riffs, and it was like a lot of the same stuff, but it was like really jazzy and just really cool. Like I'd never heard it. But man, just that band for some reason, they will always live rent free in my mind.
They're special, man. They're special.
They are. How about you, Randy? I mean, I don't want you to just I want you to get in on this too because I know you're an 80s boy, but I know you listen to everything. I know you like metal. What was it like for you when you first heard Slipknot?
Well, I'm gonna start by saying, listen to Taylor's story is literally like me growing up in the '70s when I first saw Kiss's "Hotter Than Hell" album, and I had to have it. And my mom's like, "You ain't getting that." But fortunately, I had a really cool stepdad that 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 actually gave me a lot of my albums, and so I appreciate that more than he'll ever know. But yeah, I was fortunate that I got to talk to Taylor a little yesterday, and it makes a lot of sense, his love for Slipknot and kind of his background in music, and I could see it. I could see it unfolding as we speak. And I mean, I don't know what else to say about Slipknot because I just think they're one of a kind in how they got started and what they mean to a lot of metal people.
Well, I would have beat myself up after this interview if I didn't shoot my shot with the fellow Iowa boy and someone who's I was born in 82, so I'm a little older than you. You're like my wife's age. But you were at a point in your life where it was impactful to you. You know what I mean? Like basically you were at a point where like when grunge hit me, it was so mind-blowing to me that I had to pick up an instrument. So it'd be ridiculous for me not to ask you how Slipknot affected you. But I mean, let's be honest, they put together their whole catalog, but their two albums back to back, they're self-titled, and then of course Iowa being two of the most brutal albums of all time. I
Oh
think
my gosh, it's so brutal.
it is, and it's just, I don't know, it's refreshing. It's so cool with this show, Randy, how we have these weird serendipitous moments. I shoot my shot, and I didn't know this guy, loves Slipknot to the point where he has a Slipknot tattoo. But now him and I are basically kin. I have a Hawkeye tattoo on my leg, which I know Husker fans, please, earmuffs and all the other things. But
We don't want to hear it, Huskers.
but
You're
this
outnumbered right now.
this guy's really, this guy's like me.
Yeah.
We're just regular Midwest guys. Iowa's no different than Nebraska, everybody. There's Iowa nice, there's Nebraska nice. What really
No,
the thing
that's a real thing. That's a real thing. And I just love that, we always talk about how we get a lot of full circle moments on this show. And I feel that with like just listen to Taylor say I knew Cain was like that was him growing up right there. Everything that we ever talk about when it comes to metal and music, like Taylor is the perfect example of growing up in the Midwest and for the love of metal and obviously Slipknot. What a great influence.
Making me an example now, huh?
Well, you gotta listen. I, as the older guy, it's my birthday. I'm just saying. I'm telling you, you're a good example, and I know because we talked a little bit that you came from a class of like 40 people or 50 people in your
Yeah.
class, small town, and and you were explaining that look, you didn't probably fit in with everybody, and you were, you know, your small groups, but I wonder what they think now when you're like, yeah, that guy's pretty freaking cool.
Like when I run into old classmates and stuff, they're all pretty cool people. I mean, I've always gotten along with people. I've never really, I mean, I don't know. I just, I just like to be, I like happy. I like happy and I don't like confrontations, but God damn it, I love heavy metal music. Oh,
Amen.
that's for on the Slipknot subject though. I figured I'd pop this in quick.
Look at that.
The original pressing from like 2000. My sister got this. My oldest sister got that for me. I didn't even have a record player, and like it just came. She was at Hot Topic or something. I mean, like I said, small town, and she was out with her friends shopping or whatever, and she thought of me and she got me that record. Thought that was pretty cool. But I still have it today. But that's one of the first pressings they did back in what 2001 or something, like around when Iowa came out.
What's very timely because they're just now. Oh yeah, look at that. I they're
Cain's in heaven right now.
I am. I'm jealous because I don't have either of them in my current collection, which I will. But they just released uh the Slipknot anniversary albums, set where they have some extra stuff and everything, and it's really cool. Like there's some of them you can buy where it's like clear and it's got like as it spins, it looks like blood spinning with it. It's
Oh, cool.
yeah, it's worth every penny. I would pay about anything, just like I did the Smashing Pumpkins box for Melancholy on that deal. Yeah.
I like that record too. It's a definitely. That's definitely a solid album there.
Yeah. Well, let's continue down the path now. Okay, so Taylor, I as we go kind of through your your journey through music, and everybody has a journey. I know that you took a strange journey like many of us did in 2020. Uh I know you started the your Taylor project, spelled Taylor not like your name but with an ER,
Yep.
and you had a lot of things happen during that time. The pandemic was going on, which affected the entire world. The world stopped for a moment, but you had a lot of other things happen. Would you be willing to talk about, kind of what happened, what brought that project on, and how it has had an impact on you?
Yeah. Actually, this is some of the stuff I'm going to back up. I don't even think my former bandmates even know this part about me. But if we go back a little bit before 2020, we were on tour in 2019. We went out to just more of a Midwest run. We went down to Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois, I think maybe Missouri, Kansas, stuff like that. It was more of a Midwest run. But I personally, in that time, I felt kind of burnt out with Ancient Elm, not with the music, but just like the lifestyle it came with. It took a lot of sacrifices. I have two kids at home. I have a wife at home. I have a full time job. I have to make sure that bills are paid, general life things, and a lot of people give up on, and I don't mean this negatively at all, but I do see it factually that people will give up on their dreams, whether it's playing music, being an artist, author, whatever you want to, whatever type of art you're going for. And because they have kids, they get married, oh, I bought a house now, I have bills to pay. Like, okay, I get that. But who are you? Like you were the one that wanted to be an artist and you just took that great piece of you and just kind of threw it out the window and decided to just give it all up, right? I never did that, but it does put a strain on you. I mean, dude, even if it was just two shows like a Friday and a Saturday night show. My wife's in charge of both girls. She's got to make sure they get up, do this. If there's school, if there's activities, anything. Like, but what am I doing? I'm just out there doing what I want and what I love. I had a very good support system, which is great, but also mentally, it will drain you because you just get to the point where like you miss movie night, you miss sleeping in a little bit. You don't want to drive today. You don't want to drive 8 hours to a show and set up a drum set, play for an hour to 12 people, and then just tear down and head back home. It's it does get grueling, and it's and there's guys that do it longer than that. They'll be doing it for 2, 3 months at a time with the wives and the kids and the jobs. So there's different layers to it, and it does get excessive. So bringing you back to that, we're on tour, we're headed back home, and it's like August 2019. So both, I don't think my daughter was just starting, my youngest was just starting school and all that. So anyway, it was a turning point for me. I didn't know it, but it was happening beneath my feet, and I just kind of didn't pay attention. So I just kept moving and moving. Well, then one of our members, he had to quit the band. He had some issues he had to take care of. So being, just being the supportive person I am, like, have at, man. I mean, take care of yourself. I want you to be happy. That's what life is about. The band will always be here. Just if you got to be happy, do what you got to do. So I took that as like the first, that was scratching the surface pretty much. I mean, it was starting to get a little deeper now because I had these feelings on tour. I had this member leave now. So now it's me and Dave, the other member of the band. And he didn't leave yet. He left after the pandemics when he quit. Sorry about that. He quit later on. So anyway, that's kind of that's later on down the road when he left, and then Dave ended up moving. But that's okay. That was for the best of everybody because they needed to do what they needed to do, and I support that 100%. The pandemic hit, and Iowa had come through. Everybody really shut down about like July or so. And so at that point, the band was kind of at a standstill anyway, and I was feeling weird about it. So I was kind of like, what am I going to do here? So I just went on with my life. Then my sister was in an accident. She was killed in it, and it was very just shocking. I mean, you don't expect that, especially not your siblings. And I was 33 at the time, so she was 36. And it just was a lot, because like I've never experienced any type of tragedies in my life before. Yeah, we've all lost grandparents. It's just almost like in life, you feel that it's like the older ones go first and we just kind of work our way down. And it still hurts, but it doesn't hurt as bad. But when she was just ripped away from us, it was just treacherous for me. And I know I have a weird sense of emotions. And it was just like, wow, I don't know. During that period of time, so I was pretty much lost, and I was working on just kind of piddling around with music on my own. I just started recording a couple little things here and there, nothing too much. I didn't really have much of an idea. I just was playing around. It literally was just like therapy for me. I would just sit there and just play on a piano, my keyboard, my drums, whatever. I would just play on something. Then about 6 months later, my mother passed away, and that was like, okay, that's enough. Like, what the fuck? This is crazy. So when that initially happened, obviously now it goes you deeper and deeper and deeper. It was like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck am I doing wrong now? So then you have all these like intrusive thoughts. You're just out of it. Brain's foggy. You don't even know what's going on. It's just really weird. But remember, like I said earlier, I have kids and a wife and a day job and a life that has to be taken care of, because if I don't do my part to help them, it's like I can't let my kids fall down too. I can't let my wife fall down with me too. I need to make sure that we're a family and we do this together. So that's when I decided, you know what, I'm gonna keep doing music because it did make me feel good in those little moments. Months have gone by at this point. So then I was like, well, my mom's name was Eva, and I just thought, my sister kind of started this thought of just doing something musically. Don't just play. There's no direction. There was no genre. There was no ideas. It literally was like, put your hands here and do this. And that's what I did. And that's when I started coming up with the Taylor project, because, well, my mom named me. So, I mean, what better name to use than the one that you were given at birth? So I took that and I swapped that O out with an E for my mom for Eva. So this is like, it's for my mom. And I just took all of that and started moving forward. And then that was about the time when that was around the time when everybody in Ancient Elm started to kind of go dormant and fizzle out a little bit. I don't know if no, not fizzle. I'm not gonna say fizzle. The fire was still there. It was just life, You get now you had the pandemic that changed your entire life. So you had a whole structure for the last 30 some years of your life, and now it's like, what do you do? And I mean, you guys get it. You guys have been there before. I mean, we're all here. We all went through it.
Yeah, we had to find ways to just deal with being isolated. And like me and Kane, I was doing like album cover reviews and stuff like we were using music as a therapeutic to deal with it. And obviously you were dealing with tragedy as well. And so I totally understand this whole buildup of emotions that you were just honestly just looking for an outlet, and just to see you come out on the other side of that with kind of this introspection of your music and expression of it to get it out, um, is amazing.
Yeah, it was yeah, isolation was a big part of it too. Because I mean, so you're already, I'm already sad as fuck about it. And now you're feeling depressed because you're isolated. You're even more depressed because now you can't even go to get to the coffee shop because it's not open. And it's like, what do you do with this? And it's like, God damn it. But like, I always kept remembering that there's always somebody that has it worse. And I just kept thinking that, like, I had to. Yeah, there were so many things like, um, little things. It's the little things that really would build up in that isolation moments.
Well, I can relate to this because 2020 was a hard year for me too. In July of 2020, I began my journey with my heart problems, and where everything went out of control. I nearly died. It was a horrible time in my life, and I'd been a musician since I was 16. I too had a family and all that, and I stepped away from everything though. I took that approach and just worked as an electrician for many years. And then I went back to it and started cover banding and all that. Well, 2020 hits and I had no idea what to do with I just didn't even know if I was going to make it through another day. But what got me through was the idea that, I haven't put, not only my family, of course, that's number one, just living and being there for them is number one. But no, a thought in my mind was I never put together an album. I have all these thoughts. I've done all these things. I've never once been in the studio. What am I going to do? So I started learning how to be a producer on my own. I put together two albums, which I mentioned previously. And they were in what hit me about what you said is there was no direction to what you were doing. You know what I mean? Your hands just started moving, your mind was going a mile a minute and it just came to you like that, right? Was for me, it was like all these songs came to me. I'm playing piano, I'm playing bass, I'm playing drum, I'm doing all these different things. It was like a muse came through me and it got me through. And that I have attacked, I have a reason for why I'm, bringing this up is because I feel that we're not going to miss on this one. We're not going to miss the opportunity to help somebody. The pandemic was a hard time. You went through horrible times. You lost people you loved. You didn't know how to deal with the hurt and everything, but you took it in a musical path. And this is what the whole show's about, isn't it, Randy? Is our whole show is our connection is what everybody else is it's more to me than just listening to something. Music is like I can feel the vibrations all day long. All right. This is as good a point as any to stop right now. And I don't mean stop what you're listening. I want you guys to listen through. I want you to listen to the new Elegant Sasquatch ad. It is a blast. And then I will get you guys the lock of the week. What I perceive to be the lock of the week for what's going on in Lincoln and And not that it's the best. Yeah, I'm not saying that it's better than the other shows, but it is my lock of the week. So the local lock of the week is coming up right after the Elegant Sasquatch ad.
Out in the wild, there's one creature feared by hunters, admired by lumberjacks, and envied by hipsters.
Yeah, it's me, the Elegant Sasquatch, and let me tell you, these locks don't tame themselves.
Introducing the Elegant Sasquatch Grooming Company. Beard oils, butters, and washes so good, they'll make your face smell like you wrestled a cedar tree while sipping fine whiskey.
Last week, a hiker followed me for 3 miles just to ask what cologne I was wearing. Joke's on him, I don't wear cologne. I wear the Gentleman.
Upgrade your beard game. Sophisticate your outer beast. Find the Elegant Sasquatch Grooming Company at elegantsasquatchco.etsy.com.
And stop stealing my jerky!
Let's get into my lock of the week. Once again, for those of you guys listening, I'm trying to explain to you guys, it was taking a lot to comb through everything and kind of, put it all together and see where, I wasn't necessarily getting all of the shows in time when we go to edit this. And so I just decided I'll just do the local lock of the week. So this is my local lock of the week this week. There's no nights off at Duffy's this weekend. There's a ton going on. It's a bye week. So there's no reason why you guys aren't out there enjoying live music. So Friday night, it looks like they have a 10 p.m. show, no cover, 21 and older at Duffy's. They have Infinite Cousins with Cowgirl Eastern and Wicked Bones. Saturday night, it looks like they've got a 5 p.m. show in the Beer Garden. It's a 21 and over, and it's Joe Rath and the 4th Street Band. It looks like they've got all sorts of specials and things going on. $5 double wells, $10 blue kamikaze fish bowls. Sounds like a blast. Then Sunday even, they have a show. They have an 8 p.m. door, 9 p.m. show. They have Neon the Bishop with Blondo and Sexy Cash. So that's my local lock of the week this week on going to shows. Obviously, there's a ton of stuff going on at the Zoo Bar, at the Bourbon. The Bourbon just had 10 years here. I heard that was a great show. Tanks has a lot of stuff going on. I'm just going to try to pick and choose each week and try to highlight something. Get some of these bands that maybe haven't been talked about and get people to these shows. So go to Duffy's and go everywhere and support live music, everybody. So now let's get back to our candid and epic conversation with our guest, Taylor Thompson. And so was it like that for you? Is that what got you through, was just the process and, not only just grieving and everything else, but did music pull you through the hardest of what you've been through?
Yeah, I would say yes. Not I if I were to give advice in this situation, I would say 95% of it would be the one thing you absolutely love, which in my case is music. The other 5% is gonna be your friends. Even if it's just one friend, if it's a text message friend, you don't have to see them in person. Just someone to talk to. Just, hey, dude, have you heard this record? Yeah, this is really cool. Track 4 was badass. That solo, those little connections, you don't realize how much it helps until you have experienced that. It's nothing. It's like I said, what I just said seems really minuscule to a lot of people, but like getting through those points like that, the thing you love the most and a friend.
Well, Cain will attest to that's literally how we started this show. It was our love for albums, for vinyl. And I can kind of see in the background, you might be a little vinyl collector yourself. Obviously, you showed us the Slipknot albums. So but but we talked all the time about just our love of just going and getting an album, coming home, putting the headset on, dropping the needle, listening to it front and back, finding the hidden gems, and just absorbing it all. And then, like you said, a lot of times you had nobody to talk to, but we all seem to have, like I did, and I know Cain did, and then we connected. Was that when you find that one friend that you could share that with, like you're blown away because otherwise you feel like you're alone in believing what you just heard. And it's nice to have, uh, that in music and your friends to connect with. And honestly, it's just the premise of our whole show.
It's amazing. It's a magical thing.
So we appreciate you sharing that. And of course, our heart goes out to you for, the tragedy you had. And, we were talking, I know we were talking a little bit yesterday, but we've seen since the pandemic what mental health has become, or kind of how we deal with mental health now. And music was like up like 50% of the reason people were able to deal with that time period of the pandemic and moving forward. And now it's more open and people talk about it. And it does seem to help people get through. It really does.
It's funny you say that. Now we're talking about vinyl because this is a vinyl topic show. In the pandemic, I signed up for this blind box where they curated like a blind record for you every month. And I kept these little things that they put inside every record. Okay. So this is part of what kept me through it. You had like these little things here, and you'd have bingo, like you had to fill out these different bingo things. Um, it's like they they put this in there. What's it say? I stayed home and listened to vinyl. And then it's got a little fill in the blank ad lib thing. Because you just sit there, because the record you receive, you don't have, and most likely you've never heard the band before. So it gives you like you're gonna sit here and do these puzzles and remember to play side B. And it's fun. Like
How cool is that?
it was amazing. Like you're talking about getting you through the pandemic. Like, dude, it did. Like, I'm showing you what vinyls did for the pandemic for me. And I'm sure there were other people that were a part of this club that did it, but I just keep them in a little sleeve in my box here. That way, in the future, if anybody ever wants to dig into it, maybe my kids will find it someday and be like, oh, it's the 2020 vinyl pandemic thing.
That could be in like the history books, man. Like past, like someday, 100 years from now, someone's going to be thumbing through and they're going to find these and they're going to go, what is this? Is this how they got through the pandemic of 2020? And it's like, I mean, so where did you get this? Like, who did this? This is genius.
It was called Vinyl, VYNL.
Wow. Whoever the people are behind that, I'm going to have to check it out. It's absolutely genius. And
I'll send you a link. I still do it.
yeah, no, that's amazing, man. I love that. And you're a prime example. I mean, you are proving it to our listeners. Not only are you a huge collector and a listener, but I'll bet you're an intent listener like we are. I'll bet that it's kind of like, well, I can only say for myself and maybe Randy too. For me, it's a religious experience when I sit down, and I'm not saying it replaces religion or any. I'm saying when I listen to it, my whole body starts to vibrate and I just get lost in the music. I cry. I don't really care. Like I don't really care what anyone thinks, if they think I'm less of a man or whatever. Music affects me in that way. When I go to my son's concerts, for band, I always cry. It's like it blows watching a jazz concert and here I am sobbing to myself. Music does that for me. And so
That's
I can only
awesome.
imagine how it is for you.
So first,
That's cool.
Taylor, I got to ask. I feel like we barely scratched the surface. Do you have a little more time for us? Can we keep this thing going?
Yeah, we got time. I got plenty of time.
So you obviously you did the Taylor project. You start working on your own stuff. Tell us a little bit about kind of how you produce and what kind of led into some of those new songs and where you're at today.
So so for Ancient Elm, there were some final songs that we did before it kind of went dormant. And they were songs that, we and Dave kind of worked on. Like I said, one guy decided he had some things to take care of, so he had left. And then um, we had this studio session lined up with the producer. And I just thought, we've never worked with a producer before. We've always just did our own engineering with a studio engineer and all that. So we went out to Michigan and did a couple of songs. Well, we did 3 songs with Ancient Elm, and then 1 song was for Taylor. And they turned out really awesome. And like Josh's production is just, the dude's like a wizard. So it really helped a lot with getting the ears to listen to those newer songs. But so that's how those ones came about. And the one song for Taylor that I did with him was called Head First. And you can definitely see the difference in the production between that and my self-produced things I did. So when we did those songs in 23, 24, I think, somewhere in there, 23, I think in 23, 24. And then I spent this last winter out at my friend's studio in an undisclosed location. It's he bought an old school and he has a studio out there. And I went and he let me work on stuff when I had time. So I literally would go out there to put the kids to bed. My wife would be going to bed, and I would just head out there and I'd spend, till 3, 4 in the morning, come back home, maybe grab a few hours of sleep, get the kids up for school, back to work, do it all again. And I'd take a night off, then go back out the next night. So it was like almost like a second job. But I spent, the songs like Sea Witch or I Wish You the Best. I did an abbreviation of I Wish You the Best just because it's a long title. But, I did all those out at his studio and they were done. That's all me 100%. I did all the drums and the bass and the vocals. Whenever the vocal parts came in, I have a friend named Greg. I went out to his studio. He's up here in town in Sac. He's just outside of town here, and he does a lot. He's really good with vocals, and so he helped me with those. And so the vocals I did at a different studio, so they were done on somebody with extra ears, but the music was done just with me and my ears. I didn't even really ask many people ever about their opinions of it either. I literally was like, okay, I'm producing this, I'm engineering this, I'm writing this, I'm playing this, I'm listening to it, I'm gonna like it. And like that's what my intention was. And and kind of like I want to say, was it Rick Rubin that said it? Or no, it was Ross Robinson. Pay attention to your intentions. So every time I thought about that, I was like, okay, my intention is I want to make a record that goes on a record, a vinyl record. Yeah, it's going to be digital, of course, but my intention is to make something that I can press into vinyl because I think that would be really cool. And that's what I did. It's not pressed yet, but it's finished. So I got it all done, but it's just kind of sitting in my chamber. I'm just kicking out singles and online, just hoping to, just get a little bit of people's interest. And then I'm just going to make a few records and make it like a special little thing. I'm not worried about selling 1,000 records. I think it'd be cool just to press like 20 records and get them to 20 people that really enjoy music like me. And then I can be a part of their collection, just like I have.
Well, me and Cain will be 2 of the 20 for sure.
Awesome.
Because I did listen to the ones that you did back in 23 that you had professionally done, and the sound was really, really good. Like I call Cain right
Yeah.
away. I go, this is exactly what we're talking about. And wow, that's awesome, man. How about, are you doing any performing right now, or are you
Yeah.
traveling a little bit at all?
The performing I've done this year was just filling in as a drummer for people. Uh, for one band, Riddled with Class. They're a cover band up here. I just love the songs they pick are just right up my alley and like take me back. So I was really excited to do some of that stuff. I put some of those live videos on my YouTube. Um, and then if anybody, honestly, anybody needs a drummer, I'm all about learn, if you get like the last time I did it, I didn't get much time. Like, so I had 48 hours to learn 36 songs. It sounds ridiculous, and it was, but it turned out really good. And I was really happy with how that went. And it was one of those things like you you were asked to do something, you support your scene. So what do? Like you do what you were asked. Like, yeah, of course I'll sit in for you guys. Let's jam. So we did. And I proved to myself even like, holy shit, did I seriously pull that off? And people are dancing and and when they're cover songs, a lot of people know the songs already. So as long as you nail the groove and everybody has a good time, it's like that was success right there. And that's where I proved myself I could do that. So I just decided, I'll be a drummer for hire. I play drums for a band though full time, and that's called Maroon Lagoon. And the that is it's not a studio project. We're gonna do some shows eventually, but we're building our set list, and these guys are super talented. And I don't know if I've ever told them this because these guys they don't play with guitar picks. They'll play with their hands. I was like, "Where's your guitar pick?" They're like, "We got 5 of them." You guys crack me up. So I really think it's cool, like, to jam with those guys because they come from a totally different background than me. It's not a metal band, but it's not like any genre band. It's Maroon Lagoon. It's their flavor, And the way I got hooked up with them's kind of funny. One of them works for the cable company and was over here doing some work on my house for one of my issues I was having with the internet. And he come down to my basement and he's like, "Whoa, you got a drum set and like some guitars up here." So we kind of, sparked a conversation. And he goes, "So I need a drummer." I was like, "Well, I wouldn't mind jamming with some guitar players." And so they picked me up and I've been jamming with those guys. So we're gonna definitely probably hit the road at some point, but we're more focused on getting the craft down, getting our sound, the grooves. In my life with music, it's always music first. Make sure your art is, that's your focus because you don't do music ever or play music or write music. And if you do it this way, I feel like it's incorrect, but I guess that's against my own rules. I always say there's no rules to music. But anyway, you go I want to be in front of people and I want people to look at me and I want this and center attention. Like some people have that mentality, like they spend too much time on their hair than they do on their work. So you'll see these guys get on the stage and it's like, wow, you didn't focus on your art. You focused more on your hair. And I don't mean that to a specific person. I mean, I've seen it across the country. I played with the bands. It's and I don't think I don't say I'm better than anybody in that, but that's just my mindset is you focus on that art first.
Well, Maroon Lagoon is a cool band. I mean, I that's the joy of doing this show for us is we get to dig through all this stuff. When you send us links, we actually sit down and listen to it. And I got to tell you, man, I mean, I loved everything in Ancient Elm. I loved Taylor. I was listening to Maroon Lagoon again this morning, and I really dig that time cover that they did.
Isn't that fun, dude? That was one of the first songs I got to play drums on for them.
Yeah. It's a blast, man. I'm a sucker for covers anyway because I mean, I was a cover bander and I like seeing how people bring their own flavor and you can definitely tell they bring something else to the table on that Pink Floyd classic. I mean, it's just I don't know, man. It made me smile the whole time. So I mean, kudos to them if they listen and great job, man. It's a killer cover.
And just so you know, those dudes are younger than me. They're like in their young 20s. So like they're putting their flavor of that, really that younger vibe into such an old song. It just breathes life into it. I love it.
Moving to a question, I know that we don't have a ton of time. I can definitely tell from this interview that people are going to gobble this up. But well, I think that we'll definitely have you back again to kind of we've only scratched the surface or the vinyl, so to speak, on on all of this.
You
But
have.
I do want to ask you because it's important to me and to Randy as well, is you played in our scene. You've traveled here. Could you tell me about your, about your time and what you felt about the music scene here in Nebraska?
Yeah. First off, I'm going to do this because I realized this yellow flyer right there. You read it?
Rest in peace, Knickerbockers.
Rest in peace to one of the greatest places that we had, but that's awesome.
Yep. So that was one. I remember that was a fun show. Not a lot of people showed up, but I mean, it was like I said, we're a band from the middle of nowhere. It's not like we had we always had, our shows back home were always nice because our friends and family were there. Our big supporters were always there, but they can't leave Sac City all the time to go to Des Moines or Omaha, Lincoln, Denver, Oregon, wherever. So it, I would say though, I felt very welcomed by the bands that I've always interacted with, the Lincoln scene and the Omaha scene. Lincoln was definitely a very, very genuine, like it felt more small town, in my opinion, when we were out there versus the Omaha shows. The Omaha bands were always pretty supportive too. I mean, they even came, I think, a couple times they've come up like this way to where like maybe Des Moines or Fort Dodge or Sioux City play shows with them over on like off I-29 there. We'd play like a show in Sioux Falls, play one in Sioux City, play one in Omaha, and Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We just make a straight run down the interstate. So that was always kind of fun, and and getting to know the scene there. But it's different. It's definitely different. Like you can tell that Omaha scene is different from the Lincoln scene, but the Lincoln scene has elements that the Omaha scene doesn't have. So you have to plug you literally had to plug yourself into both of them because you're not going to get all the good stuff you liked from one at the other. You had to be a part of both, in my opinion. And that's kind of where the networking would come from, especially prior to social media and Facebook being so popular. That Facebook helped a lot with connecting to a lot of bands because you could literally just look them up like, hey, we need a show this day. Do y'all want to play? Where do you guys recommend? And then do a local sandwich is the way I was always taught that. I forgot who told me that local sandwich, and you would put a local band at the end, local band at the beginning, and you put the out of town band in the middle because then everybody's friends would stick around for the show, so they wouldn't be just because you're the out of town band doesn't mean you have to headline. You're from out of town. You're the guest in that town. You're not. You need to cater to those people, and that's how I always felt. It was like I don't feel like just because we're out of town doesn't mean we have to play last. Let's play in the middle so everybody can have a little piece of the pie.
We were it was several months ago. We had did an interview with an Omaha metal band, and we were talking that, and everybody that we kind of talked to there for a while was kind of telling us that the scene was kind of wasn't great, and wasn't as good as it had been, and kind of everybody's out of touch. And then all of a sudden we started getting in touch with more of the local metal band scene again, and it just seemed like to snowball all over again. And like Cain mentioned earlier, like big shout out to John Cruz and what he does on KZUM with the Metal Manifesto. And they just put on a huge, like 32 metal bands last weekend down at Grace Kegs. And it just like that stuff has to keep continuing. And it was nice to kind of hear from a lot of those guys tell us that they kind of feel like it's being reinvigorated again. And it's a lot of what I'm just going to point out too, like you were talking about in Maroon Lagoon, that those guys are younger. A lot of the older guys we knew in the metal scene are saying the same thing. Like they had to kind of pass the torch to these younger guys and get them, kind of show them the way and make those connections. And I feel like right now it's as strong as it's been in a long time, and it's only going to keep getting better again here in our area.
It will. And that's one thing also I feel like with these, like you said, giving those connections. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of sacrifices and like shit you put yourself through just to be in a band, and it's dumb. Like you literally squeeze the life out of yourself, right? So through my 20s, my marriage and having my kids and everything, like I was squeezing the life out of myself doing that. So today, I see all the sacrifices I made, and I cannot ever live on with my life knowing that I did those sacrifices and I can't let them go like just like, oh, I made the sacrifices and here I am today. No, I made these sacrifices. Let me help you guys get to here. Let me help you connect with this promoter. Let me help you show you the way we did it then, or you know, here's this producer's email. Here's whatever. Like there's all these connections of people you've just known and you become friends with, and you can't just let it. And you made all these sacrifices. You can't let them be in vain. If that's for lack of a better term, I don't even really know how to say it, but you did this. Now do this. You don't have to be a rock star. You don't have to be on top of the world. You just need to connect well and help everybody else grow.
Well, I'm going to tell you on behalf of Cain and Brooke and myself and all the Scratch the Vinyl listeners, we appreciate the connection with you today. It's always sad that we have so much to talk about, but time comes to an end. But man, we couldn't appreciate you more taking the time out and just literally sitting down and sharing your experience and your journey through music. And I think a lot of what you said is going to resonate with a lot of people that listen to our show. So appreciate you, man.
Absolutely. I'm happy to do this. I love to share the stories that I have. There's plenty more inside here.
Well, before you go, Taylor, why don't you let everybody know where they can find you? Maybe your socials or where they can listen to all the different projects that you have.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I'm on all streaming platforms, regardless of where you look. I'll be there. It's Taylor with an E, but you just spell it with an E. Sorry. It's kind of a difficult thing to find, but my advice, if you're going to try to find me, look up Taylor head first. That's the best way to type it in because there's so many Taylors. It was looking back, it was the worst idea ever. It's like, God, how do I even show people this? Because there's so many goddamn Taylors in this world. And so it's funny. Also, Instagram, Taylor with an E 712. I think that's my handle. And you can just, Ancient Elm also, look up Ancient Elm. Yeah, there's not a whole, I mean, there's some social platforms, but it's on all streaming platforms. You'll be able to find the music for sure. YouTube, anywhere of that. But Ancient Elm, that one, we lucked out. Nobody else had that name.
Well, Cain's going to have all your stuff that we listen to on his Spotify for Scratch the Vinyl. So they might be able to find it through there too.
Taylor, I just want to tell you how much fun we had with you on this. And you're an instant Hall of Fame guest in my eyes.
Thanks.
Talking to you. And, I wish you the best. Like all things, like Randy said, this thing has to come to an end for now, but it's not the end forever. So for the listeners out there, I hope you guys dug this. And I hope you guys realize that Iowa Nice is the same thing as Nebraska Nice. And Taylor, it's been a blast talking to you. All right, everybody. Well, that's all the time we have. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will catch you on the flip side, and we'll do it next week here on
Scratch the Vinyl.
All right, let's give a big thanks to all of our sponsors now. Let's wrap this show up properly, everybody. We want to thank our guest, Taylor Thompson. It was an awesome interview. Now let's get to the people, the places, and the things that keep things going for us. So first off, let's talk about Slang Tattoo. Slang Tattoo is my go-to place to go. I mean, I can't think of a better place to go. Bryce is an amazing artist. If you want to get Scratch the Vinyl tattooed on your forehead, we would love that. But if you're going to do it, go to Slang Tattoo, Roots Music Shop. It's the best around, everybody. I have been doing business with Ryan as a musician, as a producer, everything since his first day on the job there at Roots Music Shop. I love it so much. If you want to buy, sell, or trade instruments, go there. He's got guitars, he's got drums, he's got band instruments for your kids. He's got everything. Backtrack Records. What else can I really say about Backtrack Records? I have challenged you guys to try to take me on in the Backtrack Records challenge, which is try to buy up all that stuff in the clearance and in the, the new bins everywhere. Try to get all that stuff before I do, because if I hit it big, I'm just going to swoop in there like an eagle and I'm going to buy it all up. So get the Backtrack Records, everybody. It's right over there by Let's Talk Bowling. Next, we have American Senior Benefits. You gotta ask for the man with the plan. That's the only thing. You get a hold of American Senior Benefits, call and ask for the man, Jason Dugash. Yes, Jason, oh my gosh, Dugash. And he will set you up with a plan that fits you guys. We have Little Bill's Barbecue. Not Little Bill's, but Lil Bill's Barbecue. And you can find them on Facebook Marketplace, where you can get them exclusively through there. Message them, order. It's 8 of the best flavors of your life. I promise you guys, you're not going to want to pass up on this. If you're a barbecue enthusiast, if you just like sauces, if you just like to drink it like I do, like a nice Bloody Mary or something, then do that. But Little Bill's Barbecue is one of the best around. Honorable mention today, let's thank Kelly's Pub for always being great to us. And Madsen's Bowling and Billiards. Check in on them. We've got big things going with them. They've got rock and bowl. They've got karaoke. They've got poker. They've got bowling, pool, and they've got it all. And their food kicks butt also. So get there. That's our honorable mention, everybody. And we just want to thank all of our sponsors. Elegant Sasquatch, of course. That new video / commercial is fire and flame. So thank you guys, and we'll tune in next week with us, your favorite vinyl music podcast around. Talk to you guys next week.